Hi, it is 4:37 on the 23rd of July. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update. My actual for my leg. If you saw me out yesterday, I had to go to the doctor's office, and then I went. Where did I go? Oh, I went to the food pantry up at St. James Christ Church. Um, and that's pretty much it. My leg is doing a little bit better. I have been given the okay to go out, but I have to ice it, and I have to um, make sure that I elevate it. So because of all the bruising and the soft tissue damage, the reality is that I just would like your prayers, your continued prayers for healing, and thank you all of you for praying for me. I know that I'm still praying for you. I notice the North Carolina contingent is still in town and they're around. I don't know how long they'll be here, and I frankly don't concern myself with it because that's something that the Toronto Regional Police has to concern themselves with. I did have a police officers over a couple of days ago, and I did file a report and press charges against Dallas Winston for what he did when he threw me on the ground, pushed me on Lakeshore Boulevard West there on the 12th of July. I was going to say January. So that's pretty much it. I had actually signed up, registered to go to the mayoral debate over at Daily Bread Food Bank. It's being held there as used as a venue because of the platforms of the mayoral candidates to go to the debate at 191 New Toronto Street. The Human Resources has stated that because I was given an illegal warning, I'm not allowed to go. Well, I'm going anyways. I suspect it's a venue. It has no Daily Bread. It's not related to Daily Bread and their illegal activities. And in terms of what they've done with what they've done with the internal investigation, and then how it's linked, and people threatening people and staff threatening people, and just everything going on with that. And so that's basically all. I'm still going to go. I'm allowed to walk on the property. It was a unsigned document that was handed to me by officers. I was never charged. Apparently these officers were not officers with the Toronto Regional Police. They have badge numbers. They ran a check on them, and apparently the badge numbers don't exist with Toronto Regional Police. And Jeffrey Wong had paid these individuals. People were being paid off like you wouldn't believe, like Jeffrey Wong, Samantha Cook, Gretchen Daniels. And so to keep me out, the reality is that when it becomes a ridiculous situation when I have tried to contact them. I sent a letter to HR. I sent an email to members of the board of directors. I've sent emails to safety team. I've sent none of them, and to Charles Jurgel and to other members of Daily Bread Food Bank. And I was actually never, ever contacted, except stay off the property. The false accusations, they were not even properly investigated. I contacted 22nd Division, and 22nd Division had said, no, you are not charged with anything. The actual trespassing warning is actually something that has never been signed by the People's and Cultures Department, by Board of Directors, by HR, or anyone else. The other thing is that I had stated there has been talk and discussion repeatedly to have me back as a volunteer in the kitchen, to have me back as staff, other things like that. So a lot of it has been lies that have been going back and forth. The reality is that and I spoke this out of frustration. I'm so fed up with their attitudes. I'm so fed up with their lies. I'm so fed up with their they're being illegal, the staff members being illegal, and using illegal, just illegal activities, I guess I want to say, that I actually would restore me as a client, so I don't have to go all the way up to Park Lawn, Christchurch, St. James Christchurch Food Pantry, mostly because there's a huge, the reality is, and this is why I want to go to the mayoral debate, because I'm going to research the mayoral candidates, Olivia Chow, Brad Bradford, and forgive me for not knowing the rest of the candidates for mayor, and the councillors in this ward. I'm going to look at and research, because I'm an advocate for food insecurity. I'm an advocate for housing insecurity, and how I've spoken up at City Hall in regards to get to this shelter, the rezoning shelter, to be built over on Bloor Street West. So that is my reasoning for going, and they said, oh, well, you can watch it virtually. A lot of the lies that are going around there is that I do not have an education. The other lies that are going around is that I live in St. Catharines, or I live in Mississauga, or I'm moving. Well, I'm not. And when I do move, it will be somewhere in Lakeshore Village or Mimico Village. Somewhere, I don't know. So the reality is that I have taken a really huge interest in the politics of this city, in the sense that I want to see it better in Etobicoke South and Etobicoke North, but I live in Etobicoke South, so I want to see the community benefit from a better mayor. And I'm not saying Olivia Chow is not the best mayor. I love Olivia Chow, but from a strong mayor, I want to see. I'm all about the expansion, not allowing the expansion over at the Billy Bishop Airport. I'm trying to find a sign for no jet snow, and the environment and the harbor front, and how it's going to affect all the way down here in my neighborhood. I am all about the fact that we need more housing. We need more stable housing. We need to, with the shelters, and we need to be able to provide for those people who have chosen to make their lives and make their homes down here. I want to go to the mayoral debate because I want to look at each one of the campaign platforms, not only for the mayors, but also for the councillors who are in this ward. And I want to speak what I know, and I want to be able to have the voice. I don't know if I'll be wearing pink. Anyways, and what Daily Bread Food Bank is doing with their HR department, and with the amount of staff members who are threatening other staff members, is they are stopping me using false accusations, defamation of character, as well as an illegal trespassing warning. Now, the trespassing, if you're a trespass on any kind of property, the police have to be called. The police have to hand you the warning. The police actually have to charge you. It cannot be a handed email document. That was done at first by Jeffrey Wong. It cannot be a document handed to you unsigned by anybody. It cannot be given to you by a certain department unless the police are there, and unless you're committing the crime on the property at the exact time and moment. It has to have your full address on it. They have the wrong address. And it was unsigned, and it wasn't me. Because of the money that is exchanged hands by certain individuals to certain individuals, members of Daily Bread staff. I'm not talking about board of directors, and I'm not talking about Mr. Neil Hodgson himself. He's received no money. He's actually been one of the members of the Daily Bread, well, he's the CEO, right, and the president of the board of directors. He has been one of those people who has a number of people, and I'm going to use their names. I know they don't like it when I use their names, but I'm going to use their names. These are all people who are my friends. These are all people who know me personally as well as professionally working as a volunteer in the kitchen. So, and forgive me, each and every one of you, if you don't like me using your names. So, Mr. Neil Huffington, these are the individuals who have been fighting for me and have been threatened and have been, who've been fighting for me and who've been threatened by other staff members and by board members. So this is what I know, okay? The names I'm giving you right now. Mr. Neil Huffington, Galen Duncan, who's on the board of directors, Damien Morningstar, Rob Snowden, I'm sorry if you say your last name wrong, Jim Galloway, who else? Achille Lorenzo, Michael Greenberg, Editon, I don't know your last name and I'm sorry about that. And Caroline, I don't know your last name either. Trevor O'Neill, Jessica and Augustina, all of these people, all these individuals, Ariana, Evangelina Carpoto, Ian McGilvery, yeah, all of these individuals have been fighting for me. All of these individuals, when asked, there are other staff members and volunteers who have been as well. They've been Claudia Morningstar, have been fighting, and Lara Conchanceo, sorry, I'm going through my head. They've been fighting for me, they've been standing up for me, and they've been saying that this is incredibly wrong. I'm also going to say that there are other individuals that, not all of these individuals I just spoke about, have been threatened, have been repeatedly given a hard time by staff members and by members of Castle Fire Toronto, which is actually New Beginning Fellowship, which is whatever it is. So the big thing is now going around is that, and Jeremy. And the big thing is that's going around right now is the fact that I'm trying to do it to make proof a point. I'm trying to do it to save face. I'm trying to do it because, like, look what you've done. Look, you know what I mean? Like, you're just one person and look at what they've done to other people. And members of the staff and members of the staff's families members. I've spoken about this before. Well, guess what? I'm still fighting, and it's been, I think, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So it's been about 8 months now when they can say that I'm threatening them. They can say that I'm harassing them. There has been no threatening emails. There has been harassment defined, I guess. I get 1 or 2 emails basically stating, stay away, stay off the property. And then anyone who would want to come in, they get threatened by the staff members. They've been seeing around my building, they've been seeing around my windows, only because they have been certain protocols and policies in which certain members of the staff had threatened them and said, well, go and see what she's doing. See, Jeffrey Wong and Charles Jurgold has convinced other people on the staff that and so is Gretchen Daniels and Samantha Cook, that they're convinced that I go to the food pantry and that I sell the food. Why? They keep saying that I go up there and I sell food, or I was at the food bank and that I sell the food. I've been accused of being a drug addict. I've been accused of being a mental patient. I've been having a mental diagnosis. I've been accused of selling drugs. I've been accused now of selling food. I've been accused of any number of being a danger to society. I've been accused of what else? Causing a disturbance. All of which has been Melanie Regato. Melanie Regato has taken her hair, she does her hair, she runs around. Last I heard, she had feces on her, and she had a Daily Bread t-shirt, and she had a bandana on her, and blue running shoes that I had from Amazon, and then she had Denver Hayes pants that I have, and she was running up and down. Her whole thing is, I'm Michelle, and whatever, I'm not going to go into that. But the reality is that all those accusations have proved false. When when Toronto Regional Police have followed me or Toronto Regional Police has been around, they have all of those accusations and all of those have proved false. I have never been charged with anything. I've had psychiatric evaluations. I've had 4 of them actually, and I was diagnosed with having housing insecurity. And trauma for all of those people who are doing what they're doing, with their music, and obviously the assault as of late. And so that's the only thing I have been diagnosed with, and the trauma has been healing, and I don't have housing insecurity anymore because I've been in this apartment building for almost a year. It'll be a year on August 1st, which is next week. A year since I've been out of a shelter, and they have been speaking about me, saying that I am the top 5% nationwide who has made it out of a shelter, who has been able to secure housing. And yeah, maybe I don't have a job yet, but I know I will, and that I'm a productive member of society. And so, 5%. And that was spoken about when I went up to City Hall as well, when the advocates for homelessness Toronto and certain individuals that I met as well and had spoken about that there was a small percentage, and police officers have spoken to me about it and said that you are in the top 5% who has actually maintained housing. And so all I want to do is go to a mayoral debate and speak for those who are in shelters, and speak for those who have been in shelters, and speak for those who are without an address, and speak for those who need those up in City Hall to know that all people, and I've spoken about this before, I've said my speech, that in my speech I stated when I went to the rezoning committee, I stated that a definition of a shelter is to create safety, to create security, to provide a place of solace. And ultimately, when I stated this, I said, so we need a place to go. I want to speak about this to the mayoral candidates, and I want to speak about this to the councillors, that they need to know that everybody in a shelter, they don't set out to be in a shelter, that they don't need to, that they don't have necessarily any type of a mental diagnosis, that the only reason, and I'm not making excuses, I don't know, everybody has their own story. When I was in the shelter, the second shelter I went in over in Britannia, there was a woman there with her son who just arrived in the country, who was waiting for her visa, so her housing, her some paperwork to come through, and then she was moving on to immigration housing or refugee housing, protected people's housing. There was a Nigerian girl there who was waiting for her housing. She arrived early, and she went on to go to Humber College. She was waiting for her housing. She had to stay in a shelter. There's also other people who were there for months. There's a difference for someone who's there for months and falls into that trap. But there's a difference for someone who falls into that trap. And then there's a difference for some people who get into a shelter and they need to be in the shelter to get their lives together so they can move on. And that is what people need to be aware of. And that is what I would like to go and speak about. And in my speech, I did state that when you offer someone safety, when you offer someone a refuge, you are ultimately offering them freedom. You are offering the freedom of giving them a safety and refuge, then the freedom to choose and the freedom to have rest and peace and move on with their lives and make good choices. And the reality is that when people keep coming against me, keep coming against me, people think I would continue to be vindictive. What I'm not being vindictive is that I'm fighting to get back into Daily Bread Food Bank as a client, if they wish, a volunteer Maybe, if I have time. My life is moving on and it's moving forward. And what's happening now is that they are continuously pounding and pounding and pounding and saying, no, you cannot come on the property, when the reality is this has nothing to do with anything that is formally related to what has happened and what has illegally been thrown at me and what people are being paid money to do. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I'm doing much better. I have the ice and everything, and so I'm still looking at getting back. I thought to myself, well, if I didn't tell the HR department and I just walked on, nobody would even care. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody from Daily Bread Food Bank would even attend the mayoral debate, because I'm not quite sure how many people are engaging in politics. I do know Mr. Neil Hetherington is there for some sort of a moderator or something, and that's something that he'll do because it's in Daily Bread Food Bank and he's a moderator, and a lot of them will be speaking about food insecurity, and the majority they'll be housing insecurity and what they want to do for Ward 3 in the city of Toronto. Well, I hope so. Anyways, so that is why I wish to go, and that is what's going on right now. I believe there was an accident and Dallas Winston was in the hospital, along with Jonas Sugato and Melanie Regato. They were in the hospital for something, being treated. There is a full investigation being launched, because where he pushed me, he did have a weapon. So where he pushed me, there was a camera. So I told the police they can check out the surveillance camera that was on the outside, because I believe it's at 6. I want to say I told them 5th, but I believe it's at 6. So there was that pharmacy there before you go down to Shoppers Drug Mart. It had to be 5th because Shoppers Drug Mart is at 5th. There's that orange walk-in clinic pharmacy thing, and where the white chair is on Lakeshore Boulevard West. And I believe there is some surveillance cameras on the outside. So that's where it is. They are investigating it. Charges have been laid against him for assault. For assault with a weapon. Because he did have a weapon. And that's it. And I hope every one of you are doing well. And as I stated, we're nearing the end. We're already, next week's the end of July. And I keep talking about the gathering at the rally. That's something right now. I'm basically off my feet for the next little bit. I can go out and do things, but it all depends on safety as well. So let's just say we're going for fall 2026. I also want to encourage all of those out there. Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, there are opportunities to volunteer at the walk, the marathon, that's down on Harbourfront on the 19th of September. Also, there's also opportunities to register if you're more fit and you want to do the marathon. I personally would never walk. I'd rather help out. I just couldn't make it. So do it as a corporate, do it with a couple of friends, and do it to let's get rid of the end to cancer, because cancer affects all of us. And where I support Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, it is one of the best hospitals, the best centers in the nation, I believe, if not in Ontario, but the nation of Canada. And I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to express sincere condolences to the Dirksen family. If you've been on social media, Brian Dirksen, a Canadian worship artist who actually did a lot of worship songs for the Vineyard when the Vineyard was in inception, has left this earth with stage 4 cancer. So my thoughts and prayers go out to the ministry, to the family, to the friends, and to everyone who is saddened by his loss. But I do remember, and we can all celebrate this, that he did leave a legacy of worship songs, and he did leave a legacy of a ministry. He left a legacy of love and peace. So thank you and have a wonderful day.